Richard. It is October 17th and I am in Flying J at Fargo. It's about 9 o'clock. I have two problems. Problem number one, that's Bertha. This is Cass. Notice that the lights are on Bertha, but they are not on Cass. So, problem number one. Problem number two, which I discovered while I was being pulled over by the cops for problem number one. My engine is overheating at idle, which it isn't doing yet because I haven't had it on long, but that bar is going to keep creeping up the longer I keep the engine on, so that's problem number two. So, troubleshooting, always go to the internet first. I went to the internet first. I found a diagram that shows what part of my 7-pin connector controls my brake and running lights, and I'm going to check that first. And the engine overheating at idle thing, that tends to be either a fan issue or a coolant issue, according to the internet. So I will check those things and I'll give you guys a status update at some point. There you can see it's moving, it's starting to move, now it's creeping up. Okay, wish me luck. Behold my 7-pin connector. Notice how this one right here is kind of discolored looking and corroded? Guess what? That's the one that controls the brake and the running lights. So I believe I have solved that problem. So I'm gonna take like a little toothbrush or something and scrub around inside there and see if I can get a good connection from it. And then a more permanent fix is I will replace the 7-pin connector next time I get to some place where I can, get that replaced. Did some scrub-a-dubbing, and look, I have brakes and running lights again. But the connection doesn't seem to be very good, like I can wobble around that connector and the lights will go on and off. So I will need to be replacing that 7-pin connector sooner rather than later, like probably tomorrow. But at least I know what the problem is now, so that's one problem down. Looking under the hood of Bertha, and this thing is just like sitting here. I haven't figured out where it's supposed to go yet, but it was just sitting there right on top of that. So maybe that's part of the problem. Let's see. Turn the engine back on. I looked it up on the internet, and usually if your engine's overheating while idling, it's either a fan problem or a coolant problem. I think that's my fan in there, and it does seem to be running, so I'm guessing that's alright. I can't check the coolant until the engine cools down. Aha! This is a picture in my truck's manual. That's the thing that's sitting on top of the reservoir, and it's for my coolant. So I'm going to guess that the problem is probably my coolant. But I cannot check it until the engine is cooled down, I don't think. Visual method for determining the coolant level. Engine idling and warm to normal operating temperature. Remove the cap from the overflow bottle. Remove the dipstick. Wipe excess. Reinsert. Remove. Engine idling. I'm already creeping up above normal, but let's see. Good morning. So I checked the level of the antifreeze last night. The coolant, it was low. I put some more in there this morning, enough to get it full. And then I've turned on Bertha. I gotta wait for the engine to warm up. So I'm just gonna sit here and idle for a while and see what happens. Alright, it's been about 8 minutes of the engine running at normal temperature, and the gauge is not creeping above that point right there. And that's where my temperature usually runs when it's idling, so I'm going to let it go like maybe another 10 minutes just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that this problem is solved. Okay, 20 minutes of idling at a normal temperature. I'm going to call it fixed and get back on the road.